Welcome to Wild Child Records. I'm your host, Jay Stoyan. You're in for a special treat today. So we have world famous musician Chris Birkett in the studio today. Chris, thanks for coming on today. We know you're such a busy guy.
Thanks, Jay.
Wow, this is great.
It's good to be here.
Again, we're down here in Burlington. We're here at the Black Swan, the new Black Swan on Brand Street. Come on down, check us out. We're going to have lots of great events going on here. I want to thank Yuck Yucks for letting us come up here today to their wonderful venue. It's like a burlesque theater. I love it. I love it. It's like a 120-foot seat theater up here. Got a big stage, got the sign, got a musician. So let's get right into it. Again, we're so honored. We're so lucky to have this musician in our studio today. Chris has worked with, wrote for, collaborated with some of the biggest names in the industry. Chris, before we get started, give our viewers a little tease of who you've worked with in the past. Like just a few names, because you can go on and on, I know.
How much time is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, first hit record I made was Dexy's Midnight Runners, Gino. Went on to, it's a long story, but I've produced records for Sinead O'Connor. I produced her biggest hit, which is Nothing Compares to You.
Wow.
Which is a song that Prince wrote. And worked with Peter Gabriel, Sting. My producer mentor was Tony Visconti, who produced David Bowie and all those people. That's when I got into studio work. And before that, I was playing guitar for Rufus Thomas. He's a guy I had a couple of hits with Funky Chicken and Walking the Dog.
That's way back. So that's going back in the England days, right?
Around about that time, just after I worked with Rufus and also Ann Peebles from Memphis. I Can't Stand the Rain, that song.
Wow.
I actually was in a famous pop group in England called Love Affair. And one of our hits was Everlasting Love.
That's a class.
Then you realize, here I stand with my everlasting love.
And how old were you then?
22.
So how was it, like, tell us, how did that feel, Chris? Like, because that's a huge, was that like almost, well, that was like a #1 song pretty much, right?
Yeah, it felt pretty good because 2 years prior to that, I was actually a homeless musician living on the streets in London. So it was pretty, my career took a massive leap forward. All of a sudden, I was actually, I had to work in a gas station doing a night shift, pumping gas, because I couldn't get enough money doing gigs to live. So 2 o'clock in the morning one day, this band came in and said, "Are you Chris Birkett, the guitar player?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, we've got an 18-month tour of Germany and we need a guitarist. Would you like to do it?" And I said, "Hell yeah, I'd love to." So I said, "When are we leaving?" He said, "Tomorrow morning at 7. We're getting the boat over to the English Channel."
And how old were you then?
I was 21 then.
Wow.
And was 21. I had my 21st birthday in Germany at a Rufus Thomas concert.
And just your career just took off.
Yeah. So really, I got back and then I joined Love Affair, and then I signed a deal with Tony Visconti's label and everything sort of. And then I opened my own studio in London, and it was got voted as the second best studio in the world from Billboard magazine.
That's right.
And the funny thing is, they phoned me up and said, "Hey Chris, tell me about the studio. You're making all these hit records and stuff." And I said, "Well, actually, it's in the garden of my home in London, and it's just a potting shed which has been converted into a studio."
That is so cool. Let's talk a little bit.
Funny,
let's talk a little bit about London. Tell me, like, going back when you were just starting out and the vibe in London, all the big bands. Tell me what it was like to interact with fellow musicians in London then.
It's pretty good. This was in the kind of 70s when I was, roaming the streets of London looking for work. About the same time as Led Zeppelin were playing at the Marquee Club, and a lot of Queen were just appearing, starting to, Freddie Mercury was. There's some interesting book I've been reading about this just recently. One of the guys in the band called the Hollywood Brats. He's a Canadian, and he's just written a book about this whole time in London, which is worth reading. But I was actually, I was playing in a lot of the London clubs, and just meeting a lot of people. But I guess really until I started producing records and becoming a sound mixer and all that stuff, that's when I started to meet a lot of really big people. Like I met Peter Gabriel, and got to do a live tour with him and Sting.
That must have been just out of body experience.
Yeah, well, I wasn't doing exactly what I wanted to do. I always wanted to just play my song.
Yeah.
Right? But I got kind of sucked into production because I was a really good sound engineer.
Okay.
Because I did an electronics degree when I left school, so I knew how to build stuff.
Ah.
Excuse me. I'm gonna have a sip of Tim Hortons.
Well, he's doing now. I'll just let you know we're here with world-renowned musician, producer, engineer Chris Birkett. He spent most of his time over in England during the early 70s, the vibe. Now he lives over here. We've connected. He's such a wealth of resources, experience, kindness. So, Chris, I want to ask you this. Going back when you're in London, who are some of the musicians who have just left like an impression on you to today? Like, give us a few names and maybe a few interactions.
Well, some of the people that have influenced me a lot was people like I did an album with Thomas Dolby.
Thomas Dolby.
Yeah, he does film music now, but he was very big in those days.
Science, isn't it? Science, right?
That's
his big song.
Science. That was one of his hits. But
yeah.
But I did an album with him called Golden Age of Wireless.
Really?
And it's a really good record. It's like real future stuff.
Very innovative fella, wasn't he?
Yeah, I've worked with so many different people. I mean, I've been done records with Mel Brooks, the filmmaker. You know. So,
Mel Brooks.
Yeah, I did two hits with him. One was called "To Be or Not to Be."
You must have been laughing all the time.
Another one was called the Hitler Rap.
You must have been laughing all the time,
Yeah,
Mel Brooks.
yeah. I've got a lot of funny stories about Mel Brooks, but.
Why don't we play one of your
I
songs?
could talk all day about the stuff I've been doing, but.
Why don't you play us one of your either originals or a cover or whatever you want to do?
Yeah, there's a lot of things I could do. I guess I could play the Sinead O'Connor thing.
Okay. Yeah.
If you want me to.
Yeah, it's up to you, Chris.
Or would it be better to play one of my songs?
Play one of your songs. We're going to play a couple, so whatever you choose.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a song which is just out at the moment. This song is called "Everyone Deserves a Home," and it's about the affordable housing crisis we have here. Do you know that it costs $2,300 now to have a one-bedroom apartment in China? So it's just off the scale, stupidly expensive. So I think this has to be changed, and everybody hears this song, and if you like it, I suggest you write to your MPP and say you want to do something about affordable housing. It's the cause of so much homelessness in the city.
Yeah.
And I'm particularly sensitive to that because I was homeless myself.
There you go.
Yeah. So this is Everyone Deserves a Home, folks.
Let's hear it for Chris Birkett.
There you go.
We got a live audience here, so
yeah,
that's great. That's great.
Open the door, invite friends in. It's a human right, a place to begin. A home-cooked meal, a good night's rest. It's the bottom line. Keep you at your best. Out on the streets, there are no walls, nowhere to hide. Your pride takes a fall. Your private life, everyone can see. The folks at the shelter become your family. Billionaires forget your schemes. Try to invest in everyone's dreams. Share your wealth and help us all. Humanity needs those who walk straight, stand tall, and the world will be a better place if everybody had a place to call home. We all need a hotel out in space. You know the people up there would be alone. Meanwhile down here, everyone deserves a home. Gee, there are so many with their arms on their backs, looking over their shoulder for the next attack. Nowhere to put those groceries. Now it's all food banks and soup kitchens, that's where they eat. Investors, forget your space stations. Start thinking of the fate our nations. So many problems could go away. Homelessness, a part of yesterday. The divide between rich and poor, we don't need that anymore. Stockpiling wealth is a selfish goal, when we could do so much more for our souls. And the world would be a better place if everybody had a place to call home. We don't need a hotel out in space. You know the people up there would be alone. Meanwhile down here, everyone deserves a home. Meanwhile down here, everyone deserves a home.
That was great, Chris. I love the words. The words are so important to song. When you can listen to the words and somebody singing, it actually has a great meaning. And those words, great words. Great words. Great words. Yeah. What we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. And Chris is a triple threat. So Chris is a musician, he's a producer, and he's a songwriter. We're going to get a little bit into that and his inspirations. And again, what he has going on today. So stay tuned. You're watching Wild Child Records. I want to thank Tim Hortons for becoming a sponsor. Canadian legend. We love the coffee. We love the Timbits. Thanks, guys. Again, we're here at Black Swan. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Wild Child Records.
All about inclusion and really giving everyone a fair say.
Welcome to the Today Show. This is our flagship show. I am Unstoppable Tracy.
I am Zach Damon.
It is a pleasure to be here. I am excited. What is up?
We have a great show today.
Jay Stoyan here for the Disability Channel, the world's only inclusive channel for and by persons with disabilities.
Get ready to be inspired, everyone.
We have people watching from all over the world, but also all over Ontario.
We also take a concerted attention in the veterans community.
In moments of stress and trauma, we can get a hold of ourselves.
To help make a difference for people with disabilities, to show people how to love themselves or their disability.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me, giving this platform for myself and other people with disabilities.
Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this episode of the Disability Channel of Detroit. Please tune in next time.
Well, my name's John Gun Moore, same as my daddy and my daddy before. You hardly ever saw Granddaddy around here. He only came around about 2 times a year. When I don't know the rest of it.
That is classic. So for people who don't know, that is a classic song, Copperhead Road, Steve Earle. Now tell us the background behind it.
Yeah, I was working on I was producing a band called The Bible in London, and so the record company, Ensign Records, the people who signed Sinead O'Connor. I was their in-house guy. Yeah. They invited Steve Earle over to help out on the production, so that's how I got to meet him at first. And he came into the studio one day. We were in Eden Studios in London with a mandolin, and he said, hey Chris, I want to play this new riff. Tell me if you like it. He goes,
now, did you know him or you just met him?
no, I've been working with him in the studio.
Okay.
He came in and out, but we got friends, and he,
Okay, yeah.
And he played this thing, right? And I said, that's an awesome riff. He said, yeah, I'm thinking of making a song called Copperhead Road for my new album. So I was literally the first person, probably, other than Steve himself, to hear that riff. It's kind of interesting. And then we went on he started recording the album, and he really liked me, so he asked me to help out on a few tunes. So I recorded Johnny Come Lately, which is a Vietnam song, with the Pogues.
Oh, the Pogues. The Pogues, yeah.
So we wheeled in the Pogues into the studio, and they played the track, and Steve sang on it. And
really?
There's actually a lot of, there's a video on YouTube of me actually as a young, skinny recording engineer with some hair in those days. Just trying to hold it all together while they're all partying in the studio.
That's quite the crossover, the Pogues and Steve Earle. Like that's,
well, that was
you know?
Steve Earle was a fan of Irish music.
Yeah.
And he always wanted to work with the Pogues. So that was a big moment for him. He was really happy.
So getting back to Copperhead Road, tell us a little bit more detail, the inspiration, how long did it take? Was it like did it flow right away?
Well, the thing is, I wasn't involved in most of the album. He did it over in the States somewhere. He just asked me, he flew over a few times and asked me to do some tracks. I worked on a track called You Belong to Me.
Yeah.
And I put the groove, percussion, and some other stuff together for him on that track.
That's great.
But the rest of the album, Copperhead Road itself, which features bagpipes and stuff, was done in somewhere in the States. So the only reason I mentioned this song was because I was probably the first person ever to hear the riff.
That's
for
great.
That
no, that is, and it's such a classic song.
Yeah.
It's such a.
Yeah.
So. To tell us about, like I said, you're a triple threat. You're a musician, and tell us your connection to Richie Blackmore.
Oh yeah, Richie Blackmore's story, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was doing when I left school, I was in a band when I was 14. I had my own band in Farnborough, just outside London, where I grew up. And so my dad wanted me to be an electronic engineer, right? Because I loved electronics as a kid. I was always building stuff. And so I worked for the Royal Aircraft Establishment as an aircraft electronic engineer. And in our university, it's called the Farnborough Tech College, we used to get wicked bands coming in playing. We had like Pink Floyd one week, and then we had Deep Purple, and then Led Zeppelin would come in. So we get these wicked bands, English bands.
That's crazy.
Free.
That's crazy.
A lot, Paul Rodgers and one of my favourite singers.
Paul Rodgers.
And one night I went to see Deep Purple, and I was standing right in front of Richie. And it turned out we had the same guitar teacher because he came from my town, Big Jim Sullivan.
Yeah.
So I was standing like watching him play the solo to Highway Star,
Oh, what a song!
My mouth was hanging open, and I got an epiphany. I thought, I'm not going to be an aircraft electronic engineer. I'm going to be him.
That is what a
literally
story.
like I was 19 then. Literally like a month later, I hightailed out of there. Grabbed a suitcase and my guitar and just got on the train and,
that's crazy.
Took my chances on the streets in London too.
We're here on Wild Child Records. We're here with famous musician Chris Birkett. He's telling us all about his history, his resume, who he's worked with, from Richie Blackmore to jamming with Zeppelin to David Bowie to Quincy Jones. Now, Chris, let me ask you this, because you're so self-sufficient. Like we were talking off camera about how you have a state-of-the-art home studio. You have a state-of-the-art rehearsal hall, and then you have a state-of-the-art venue. Like it's just all in one sort of thing. So, we were talking. You live and breathe music all the time.
Yeah, I got the good fortune to live in a place called Arcadia, which is down on Queen's Quay, Bathurst, opposite Billy Bishop Airport, and it's an artist co-op.
That's great.
And that's the kind of thing that I'm kind of campaigning for.
Yeah.
Affordable housing. I only pay $1,500 a month for a 3-bedroom apartment overlooking the Ontario.
That's great.
The lake, and it's just beautiful. And everybody should
have that type of opportunity.
You shouldn't
right?
pay any more than that anyway to live, right? And that's it's doable.
No, I think everybody, and I really like that aspect of your life too. Like you're really a community guy. You really want to give back. You really want to support. you really want to help those who need help. So I really appreciate that. And that's, you know, that's what we do here at the channel, right?
Yeah, well, it's really because I was in that situation myself, and I was living in Paris for 6 years because I used to live in France. So I speak really good French and everything. I bought a chateau in Bordeaux, a wine chateau, back in the 90s, because I was earning a lot of money and producer royalties. You know, literally without exaggeration, just the Sinead O'Connor album and the single, I got like upwards of $5 million in royalties for that, right?
Wow.
So that's in the
now, do they keep going?
Well, I still get royalties from that, but it's in the days when you could make money as a producer.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen anymore because everything's free download.
Free.
So nobody gets paid anymore. So I make my living now from doing gigs and also for you know, producing, making people's dreams come true.
So speaking of that, you know what, I think because you're such an experienced musician, tell our viewers a little bit now how to survive. Like, how do you survive being a musician today?
We have to be, well, the good thing about what's happening now is every stick has two ends, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things is that we have everybody, no matter who you are, has a chance to be creative because the technology allows it. You know, back in the 70s, you had to have a lot of money to go into a studio.
That's right.
Now you can get a laptop and, you know,
that's so
garage
true.
band and stuff, right? So that's I find that really positive because it's really opened up the thing. The negative, of course, is the old system has crumbled. There's no record companies anymore. They don't, if they are, they don't pay anything to make things like they used to.
No.
You know, when Ian Anderson, Jethro Tull was around, that band did 8 albums before they actually got Living in the Past, which is their first hit.
They gave them that much time.
Yeah, so that's what used to happen. A band like Yes, you know, which is one of my favourite prog rock bands, would never make it these days.
Never.
Because they wouldn't have time to stay together.
Time.
They'd be flipping burgers and trying to rehearse. So that's the other end of the stick, the fact that there's no money at all, right? So if you want to survive in the music business now, you have to have a lot of passion for what you do, and you have to be real. You don't. There's no room now for fake artists.
So how do they make money? Gigging?
People are just a fake artist is somebody who just wants the glamour and the money. I meet people like that all the time. I said, look, if you're in this for money, just go home because
get a job.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? What that's doing is weeding out the wheat from the chaff, right?
There you go.
So people who just want fame and fortune and glory, they ain't going to get it. So they just do something else, right? So the people who are left are people who are passionate about what they do. And if you're super passionate and you just keep going, keep playing as many gigs as you can, spend all your time and get your friends to help you on the social media and all that sort of stuff, it's you will actually eventually surface with integrity. You won't be steered by somebody saying you've got to be like this. Like it used to be like that in the old days. The A&R guy would sign an artist and they'd literally, you know, shape them into what they wanted.
Yeah.
They tried to do that with Sinead, and she wouldn't have it.
Oh, she ripped it.
They said, like, you know, you've got to dress up sexy and girly and have long hair and all that. She said, excuse me, you know, my French. And she just did what she wanted to do. She stood up for female rights too.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's what I call a true artist. She didn't. I was at a show and she invited me to a show after Nothing Compares to You was like a #1 hit all over the world. They did a big concert in Hammersmith in London, and she got up on stage and the time in the show came to do Nothing Compares to You, the big hit, right? And she said, "This is a song that I didn't write. It was written by Prince. And if I'd known it was going to be a fucking hit, I wouldn't have done it." and I was sitting there with the record company going, "What's she saying?"
Really? That's what she said,
they just need the money, right?
Yeah.
So Sinead was never in it for money. She was an artist with integrity. So if you have integrity, you can actually and just keep going, keep working at it.
What a story.
You will surface with your integrity. So.
Well, and also, like, Chris can share a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, and you know, we like him to come on the show because he has a wealth of experience and knowledge, and he can help the young emerging artists. So
yeah, I do a lot of workshops with singer-songwriter workshops, and I'm working a lot right now with a label called Hitmakers out of Ottawa, and they sign exclusively Indigenous artists. So I've been up in Iqaluit last September, produced 3 or 4 albums already with Indigenous artists. Great, really talented. However, it's a different ball game working with an indigenous artist than it is for a non-indigenous artist. For example, the first album I did with Angela Amarillic, she came in to meet me with the record company rented me a house in Ottawa, and she came down from Iqaluit, and I said, "Oh, great to meet you. You know, right, what are we going to do with this album? You know, what do you got?"
Yeah.
So she gets out a purse, pulls out a piece of wrinkled up paper, and said, "I've got this. It's 2 lines."
That's it.
How are we going to get them out? I had like 2 weeks to put a whole album together, right?
Felt like get back.
So what I did, I saved the day, but I wrote back in the 90s when my son were living with me in my chateau in Bordeaux. Me and my daughter May, we wrote 30 songs together, and they're really great songs, and they've never been done by anybody.
Okay.
So because she got married to this guy that killed her music because he was jealous, he's possessive. So that's another story. But so these songs have been sitting like doing nothing. So I played them to Angela. I said, "What do you think of this?" She's, "Oh, can I do them all? I love them." So that's what we ended up doing.
Oh, that's great.
My daughter's songs, just remade them. You know.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we? Because I want to come back and I want to talk because you mentioned something about that's going to be happening in Montreal, in Quebec.
Yeah.
So why don't we take a quick break? Why don't you take us out with either another original or a cover of your choice, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about what you have going on down the road.
Okay. Right.
Chris Birkett.
Let's do a round of hands for original or cover. What do you
want, original or cover?
Original. Hands up for original.
There you go.
Oh, so it's everybody. Okay.
Original.
Right. So I'm going to do a song called Gratitude. So I hope you like it.
Let's put our hands over Chris Birkett.
Touch of gratitude from my head down to my feet. That's the attitude that I'm taking to the street. All of the simple pleasures of being alive. Don't have to search for treasures. They will arrive for me tonight. A touch of gratitude from my head down to my toes. That's the attitude that will keep the love and grow. Listen to it. I haven't done this song before. You'll hear the sound of nature alive with spirit as we turn our lives and turn around. A touch of gratitude from my head down to my toes. That's the attitude that will keep the love and grow. A touch of gratitude. That's the way I wanna be. That's the attitude as a love pours over me. Well, that's part of the song.
That's great, Chris. That's great.
I completely forgot the second verse.
What are you gonna? That's okay.
Just jammed it.
Hey, stay tuned. You're watching Wild Child Records. We'll be right back.
Just a feeling
Welcome back to Wild Child Records. We're up here at Yuck Yuck's Black Swan, Brand Street, Burlington. We're going to do a lot of great stuff out here with world famous musician Chris Birkett. He's been sharing all of his wonderful stories, his original music, and he does have some new news to share. So Chris, can you tell us what's going on in the summertime?
In the summertime, when the weather is... I'm doing a tour. I'm going to Montreal on the 30th of this month, 30th of May. I'm going to talk to Duke Eatman from CBC about my new record.
Great.
Everyone Deserves a Home. That's pretty cool. And then in August, I've got a two-week tour of Montreal. So it's
That's great. Oh, Montreal's a great city. They love the arts. They love musicians, big supporters. It's just such a great town.
Well,
give
me a chance to practice my French because, you know.
There you go.
I thought I arrived in a bilingual country here in 2012, but nobody seems to speak French. So
not very much. Not in Toronto.
I never get much chance to actually practice it.
So if people want to find out more about you, Chris, more about your career, where could they go? To Facebook or Twitter?
Yeah, there's lots of social media. If you actually just put my name in Google, Chris Birkett, a load of stuff comes up. Yeah. But my website is chrisbirkett.ca.
Okay.
But I've also got chrisbirkettmusic.ca, but that's not working very well at the moment. So just go to Chris Birkett.
Just go to Google Chris Birkett.
And then the Chris Birkett Band on Facebook, that's kind of maxed out on friends. But the best thing to go to is my YouTube channel.
Okay, YouTube.
Chris Birkett Music. Just go to YouTube and there's a ton of really great videos, including the Everyone Deserves a Home video.
There you go.
Plus Icky Cottage Blues, which is my summer hit last year.
And you can go to our website because we're showcasing Chris's music on our website too and on all of our social media feeds. So Chris has been kind enough. He's going to take us out with a treat. He's going to play a wonderful cover song. So let's put our hands together. Chris, I want to thank you for being on the show today. Much appreciated, Chris.
It's all right. Thank you. So this is the song that I produced for Sinead O'Connor, which paid for my chateau in the south of France.
There you go. There you go. That's a nice plug.
It's been 7 hours and 15 days since you took your love away. I go out every night and I sleep all day since you took your love away. Since you've been gone, I can do whatever I want. I can see whoever I choose. I can eat my dinner in a fancy restaurant, but nothing can take away these blues. Nothing compares to you. It's been so lonely without you here, like a bird without a song, Nothing can stop these lonely tears from falling. Tell me, baby, where did I go wrong? I can put my arms around every girl I see, but it only reminds me of you. Went to the doctor and guess what he told me? Said, boy, you better try to have fun no matter what you do. He's a fool. Nothing compares to you. All the flowers that you planted, Mama, in the backyard, all died when you went away. I know that living with your baby was sometimes hard, but I'm willing to give it another try. Nothing compares to you. Nothing compares to you. Nothing compares to you.
Thanks, Chris. That was great. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank our viewers. I want to thank everybody for commenting on our Facebook page, Twitter page. Hey, if you're a musician out there, you want to be a guest, you want to be showcased, give us a call. We'd love to have you down to Burlington, Black Swan, upstairs or downstairs. Again, you're watching the Disability Channel. Thanks a lot, Chris. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.